if you were Russia? What would you do if you were China? What would you do if you were one of these many terrorist organizations?
I wouldn't have to do anything. I would continue to stoke the flames and fires of dissent, of racism, of every form and fashion of divisive issue that Americans have right now to confuse and divide us further. I would throw all of my money into TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat to make these kids sit there on those phones for as long as I could, which they are. I would show them that the nuclear family is not necessary, that freedom isn't really a thing that's given by God, but something that's given to us by the family or by the government, which is another thing that they're paying for us to see on our phones often. I would finance and support political opponents that would want to fight American values and put in other forms of governance that are wholly against the American ideals and the founding fathers would have imagined. I would try to support the expansion of the federal government. These are all the things that I would do if I was the adversary. And that's what they're doing. They don't have to do anything. They just sit back and hang out and watch us just eat ourselves. I argue, for the Titanic, which was headed towards that iceberg, had they known and they just made a slight adjustment, just a couple of degrees, they would have avoided that whole entire iceberg, right? None of those people. Is that what we need to do? Just the slightest of adjustments? For us to have a strong America, again, is for the individual to be a strong, competent, capable individual, right? Not to be fat, not to be this gelatinous mass that can barely read, that just sits there and swipes on their phone and looks at porn all day long, doesn't know how to use a rifle, doesn't know how to purify water, doesn't know how to be an intentional, disciplined parent to their children, or a loyal entrepreneur that's going to be dedicated to his employees and his colleagues and his partners in the companies. Like, this is, when you look at the founding fathers, when you read that beautiful Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, like these were written by Americans that stood on the core values of what it meant to be an American. They were not educated at some Ivy League university, but they wrote a document that will stand the test of time. And God, I need Americans to recognize how vulnerable we are. Everything that you just said right now can be fixed. We adjust just a couple of degrees and people take back their sovereignty. They start growing their own food. They start having their own chickens. They start getting strong in body and in mind. They are an ungovernable force. The Americans, the essence of being an American is ungovernable. We are rebellious traitors from our origin. Let's remember what that looked like. They told us to do something. We said no, and we put their tea in the harbor. Then they went to Boston, and that shot that was heard around the world kicked off us killing every single one of them and kicking them off of this continent. That is what Americans can do.